Everyone. Welcome back to Paranormal Connections radio show. I'm your host, Christina George, and for the next hour, got another great show. So, this week, everybody's probably seen the event page, but I have a very interesting guest. Now, many people know that I'm very interested in the haunted activity of the Carolinas. I just don't go to those areas because, as we all know, if there is any kind of alligators, sharks, big snakes. It's a no-go zone. But it's one of the reasons I don't go to Louisiana. Although I would love to go to New Orleans and I may face my fears for Mardi Gras this next year. Yeah, those are my no-go zones. So go figure. All right. Well, tonight my guest is Michael La Chiana, and we are going to be discussing all things paranormal. And Michael is the founder and director of the Heritage Hunters Society, which he created back in the mid 1990s after moving to North Carolina. Michael's always had a love of history growing up and began having paranormal experiences while visiting many historical places across the Carolinas. The main goal is to see who might still be lingering at these locations. Michael also created a new paradox series called The Heritage Hunters Journey Through the Past, which can be seen on Prime Video TV, which is now streaming in the US and across the UK. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and bring our guest on tonight. Make sure if you have any questions to go ahead and post them in the chat, or you can also direct message me on any of the social media platforms. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hello, Christina. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
being
having
here
me
tonight.
on. Always great
Always.
to be a guest.
Yeah, I'm so sorry because I had you. Most people know. I mean, I had you scheduled before, and of course, my health has just been sucking terribly this year. So we had to
Yeah,
reschedule last second.
sorry to
So
hear
I
that.
appreciate you, being on tonight and being patient
Oh,
to
anytime.
get back on.
Anytime. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, Jennifer, so nice to see you. Hey, Melody, nice to see you, beautiful. All right. So, as I said, you guys can post any questions, comments that you have for our guest or just on topic. And with that being said, Michael, let's talk a little bit about your journey and where it started.
Okay. Um, Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on tonight. Um, my journey started many years ago. As a kid, I grew up. I loved all the old TV shows, the Munsters and the Addams Family and things like that. And I loved ghost stories, but really never thought anything about if they were true or not. And around age 14, I started getting into recording and different things like that. And I started reading a lot of books on spirits and ghosts. And I came across a book from Dr. Hans Holzer, and it was a small article just on how to record ghosts. And I was fascinated. So I tried it, and it wasn't using a microphone or anything. You actually took a recording device and plugged it straight into a radio and just went onto pure static. And did that. This was 1978. I was about 14, and couldn't believe what I captured after about an hour or so running this reel to reel that I had. And I had captured a man yelling, screaming at the top of his lungs. It almost sounded like it was a plane crash going down or something, but I knew it wasn't. So that was really my first experience with real recordings back in '78. So it put me on the path all these years. And as digital technology got better and better over the years, we've been able to capture just amazing things. So yeah, I've loved it since I was 14, and still at it.
One of those things that, yeah, it's like once you get hooked, once you get that your first, piece of like evidence that really
Oh
like
yeah,
opened your eyes. Yeah, it is. You're kind of,
yeah,
hooked from there. It's just you just move forward. You're
that's
talking
right.
about the Holzer methods. Let's talk about, the technology that we have today.
Mm,
There's so many advancements, so much technology out there,
yeah,
so many different ways to, try to gain evidence. But
yeah,
along with that, although we've had a lot of, advancements in technology, there's also been a lot of room for people to manipulate some of this technology in order to produce said results that they want.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
your thoughts, on this?
Well, I'm old school because I'm old, and
Right there with you.
and I love older technology. I don't like gimmicky things. I have experimented with a lot of the newer ITC devices that came out several years ago, and didn't give me really the proof I was looking for. I like audio, video, photography, personal experiences. That's where I stay. All these other new devices, I stay leery of them. Um, I do like thermal imaging. We have
Hmm.
captured some really good stuff with video. And you'll actually, if you watch my new series, you can see an amazing capture that we got on thermal video, which is amazing. So yeah, some of the technology is great. Some of it is so gimmicky, and all these things that are put out, these obelisks and these different things. If you're going to be a researcher, really go research these things to
Right.
see if they're really capturing real evidence or they're just capturing things. Bill Chappell put in 1,048 word vocabulary in these devices, probably even more now. But the first
Yes.
obelisks that came out years ago. Um, so so I always said, if I was a ghost, how would I know how to activate this or trigger this device? So um, I think that a lot of these devices are just really EMF meters attached with the vocabulary, especially in that area of using these things. And I just think the prices that they're charging $400, $500, $600 or more for these little things, and you're thinking that you're capturing something, you're really not. So you have to really study and really learn what's really solid proof versus gimmicks. I think it's interesting how people will use a flashlight and tell something to turn it on, turn it off. There's no proof of anything with that. I use mag lights for the last 40 years in my business. Um, if you're just putting that thing on close contact, you don't know if a spirit's activating it or not. So, and what kind of proof is that really giving you? Don't you want voices? Don't you want
Right.
photos, video? Go for the better evidence versus these gimmicky things.
Yeah, what I'm seeing, is this new age of all these, okay, so we went from being investigators that were not, even acknowledged, right? We were
Right,
just a bunch of quacks out there,
right,
searching for Casper the ghost. And
right.
then it went on TV, and then it was like, oh, everybody wanted to be a paranormal investigator. So then we were, we're saturated. And then
Yeah.
everybody wanted to be the next television star or
Uh,
be on TV because then they
yeah.
could put it on their banners that they had been, featured on, that. And maybe 20
Travel
years
channel,
ago,
this channel,
that,
that
right,
channel.
right.
Yeah.
And maybe 15, 20 years ago, that was something big if you actually got on
Yeah.
one of those shows.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward, even saying in the last 5 years. And you can pretty much be on any television show that's out there if you have a story to tell and you have a location you have access to,
Yeah.
because that's what they're looking for.
Oh
So
yeah.
all
Yeah.
these people saying, oh, this paraceleb because they've been on this show, and these
Who cares?
egos and everything,
Yeah.
it is crazy, the how it is. But now we've got this newer generation where they're all social media influencers and investigators.
Oh yeah.
So of course they've
TikTok. TikTok.
you TikTok, YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook Lives,
Yeah.
Instagram Live, anywhere where they can monetize their channels. But now
Yeah.
we're also seeing all of the thumbnails and capture your attention grabbing,
Yeah.
intros saying, oh, I was attacked by a demon. Oh, I was
Oh, yeah.
possessed. This, that. And, I watch a lot of this equipment and stuff. And again, I know
Yeah.
people who have made some of the ghost boxes out there. And I know that they 100% can be programmed and anything
Yeah.
can be programmed into them. And, I, over the years, even exposed a few people because I absolutely knew they were loading in like their names. the names of a location, all kinds of things, and then it's like they go on and they film, and it's like, oh my God, did you hear my name? Did you hear my name? Oh my God, they said my name. And it's so hard. It's so hard,
Well,
at least for me, to be a true researcher, and
no.
you got to see all this BS out there. We used to just have to deal with it on television, but now it's like surrounding us.
Well, because there really isn't TV anymore. Everything is now social media, and
Right,
everything is off of our smartphones. There are no real TV channels anymore. You can barely get the news on
right,
TV unless you have these different streaming things. It's for someone that's real hardcore investigator that really is searching for really true evidence and real connections to, like for me, for locations, especially me going to historical locations.
right.
I want to try and connect with who is there, versus I could care less about me. I'm not trying to make anything about me. Yeah, I
Right.
have a TV show on Prime Video TV, but that's just to share my evidence. That's really what it's about. I could care less about highlighting me. And I
Right.
get real sick seeing all these shows that are out there that it's all about them. It's not about the
Yeah.
spirits. It's really about them, and they think it's cool, and they think they're hot shit and all this other crap. They're not. As far as I'm concerned, the only stars are the ghosts, the spirits, people from the
That's
past.
right.
Those should be the stars. And I don't see any of these shows putting out solid, amazing evidence. They put out junk. And
Yeah.
you should base these shows on what they show. And if they're not showing anything, and you know that they're possibly fabricating things, but it's in this era of everything is instant. Everybody wants everything instant. I mean, when I do an investigation, I'll spend 4 years investigating a location and
Right.
capturing a lot of evidence and talking to all the staff or the people or the owners for years. I'll spend many years doing it. That's just the way I like to do it. Everybody else wants to just go per weekend, hit a place, investigate it, and then
Right.
put it out on social media. Wow, look at us! Or
And how much does that really even tell you? That means
yeah,
somebody before the investigation went and Googled the location to try to
yeah,
find some history on it, and
yeah,
bam, they're going to go out there. Hopefully, they're getting stuff. If not, it might just be edited to make it look like they did, whatever it is. I really like the concept of what you're doing with, the
right,
historical, because I
yeah,
truly feel like, there is not enough focus, not only
yeah.
on the spirits, but some of these historical, locations, and just how many spirits they actually can have,
Oh yeah. There's spirits
and the true
everywhere. I
history
mean, you go
behind it
anywhere in
all.
the world, there's spirits
Yeah,
everywhere. But it's your intent, it's your passion, it's what you bring to it. I'm in the service business for over 40 years. I'm used to going to people's homes. So I treat it the same way when I go on investigation. Um, and I get comfortable with what's there. I be respectful. Um, but I really love the history end of it, and I want to really know who's still hanging around. And my dream when I started this Heritage Hunters Society back in the early 90s was to go to, Mount Vernon, go to Monticello, go to really famous historical locations to see if I could connect with what was there. And I have done that over the years. And I was just at Mount Vernon about last month, and really got to spend a lot of time there. In the past, I haven't, so I was able to spend the whole day walking the property and different things. But that's my niche, and I love the history end of it and mixing that with the paranormal. But I don't know what entices these other people. I guess it's the thrill seeking, or uh, feeds their egos, builds their egos up. That big deal. They're a paranormal investigator. You know how many millions of paranormal investigators are out there now, and how many are
yeah,
really serious and really good? 5%, 5%. And I know I check worldwide. I talk to everybody all around our world that's out on social media now, and there's very few that are very passionate and very serious and get really good stuff. And so I just wish that the younger generations or anybody that's doing this gets really serious about it and really learns the craft of it and doesn't want to just put everything out there on Facebook per week, and just it's not doing any justice to our field.
It really seems like our field it's like a roller coaster ride because it's like we get no recognition, no attention, and we get all kinds, and then you get people who fake, and then it goes down again, and then something else comes out, and we shoot back up, and then somebody else finds a way to fake stuff after that, and then we go back down, and it's kind of you know there there's so much information out there, and so many people are putting things out there, and it's like
Yeah.
everybody is
Well,
attracted
like
to
we said,
that negative.
TikTok is a big thing, because you
Yes,
can get so many hits, and if you get enough hits, then you make money off of it. And I see
absolutely.
so many people that are now TikTok stars, and they're just going to locations, walking around, throwing some music in there to, telling the story of the location, and that's it. That's it. They're done, and they get all their views, and people think it's amazing. Uh, yeah, that's great. You're making it into entertainment. I don't think the paranormal should be any type of entertainment. People always say, "Oh, well, it's for entertainment." No, go
It
do
shouldn't.
other things. Go do
Correct.
acting. Go do music. I'm a musician. I think acting is amazing. I love filmmaking and stuff like that. But I don't think that the paranormal should be an entertainment form. I really don't, and should be taken more seriously. Back in the 60s and 70s, it was taken more seriously. So but it's not something we can change. We're not going to be able to change it. So you just have to keep doing what you love, and that's it. And I could care less what anybody else is doing out there. I see it. Some people are really good at it. Digital creating and things like that. That's great. It does bring more attention to the field. But yeah,
Yeah.
are they going after evidence? No, they're not even interested in any kind of evidence. They just want to tell their story, walk around a little bit, show them, and that's it. And there you are, a TikTok star.
Absolutely. Or, everybody just wants to be a star. It's funny
Yeah,
because I see people who have been in the field for a very, very long time, like both of
yeah,
us. And the last thing I want to do to be personally is to be on TV. I did Ghost Adventurers once,
yeah.
and I
I'm
absolutely
sorry to
talk
hear
about him
that.
all the time. So I really was having a real issue on agreeing to it. But it was for my best friend's location, and
Right.
she
Oh,
just
man.
was pleading with me to please be part of it, because
Yeah,
they weren't going to be interested to come and help her if I
right,
wasn't going to be part of it and tell my side of what had happened there. So,
right.
and I kept saying, wow, this will be hard because I talk about this show every week, and what a
Yeah,
BS story, show it is. And then here
yeah,
I'm going to be on the show.
yeah.
I
I
should have
totally,
trusted my
totally
gut
understand.
feeling. It was the worst decision I ever could have made.
Yeah,
Again, the way they portray things and
yeah,
the sensationalism, it was just, and the lying
yeah,
is too much for me. But I
yeah.
have noticed that with all of the changes, and now with all of these big egos that are now, because again, if somebody gets a TikTok and they get 100,000 views all of a sudden for some reason, they
Right.
think that like the head goes like they think they
Oh yeah,
are
yeah,
the big deal. And
yeah.
I also see our field, really it's always been kind of fragmented. Having so many people and opinions and personalities all, kind of trying to mesh and compete in one field is hard.
Yeah.
But I also see, like, probably over the last 5 years, it is absolutely crazy the amount of jealousy, backstabbing,
Oh yeah,
rumors, just trying to turn people against others. I went through it myself, but again, I'm 20 years in, so to see
yeah.
it on like on an all new reinvented level,
Oh
it
yeah.
is crazy. I'm seeing people's being doxxed and their addresses being put out on social
Oh
media and their phone numbers, and where people calling other people's jobs to get them fired. I mean,
yeah. No, that's really insane.
what
It's
in the
not
world
anything
is
new.
going
It really
on?
isn't. When I first, like I said, I started in the early '90s, and that's when computers were just really coming out. And I remember seeing tiny little AOL chat rooms. There were no pictures. You couldn't even put a picture on the internet
Right.
back
It's all
then.
chat.
And then from that, I started grow and grow, and then all of a sudden you saw the taps and different shows coming out, which uh, was interesting. to see. But I did see so much drama even back then. I'm talking really bad things that people were doing to each other, and that's talking 2005, 2006, and the stuff
That's
just in
that
my
was
area, just in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, the teams that were here were so ruthless, and some of the people that were running them were the most immoral people I ever met. And I knew a lot about them. I found out a lot of bad stuff about them, and I couldn't say anything because then it just makes me look like I'm a jerk and I'm bashing people. So I didn't. But the stuff that went on, I mean, you're talking about cheating, breaking up marriages, um, you know,
that part.
people stealing
I
other
never.
people's groups, going down to the government and filing and stealing somebody's name of their group to make it a nonprofit. Just the stuff. I mean, the people were going to get their asses whooped. I mean,
Yes,
seriously, the things they were doing. But you don't want to have to go to that level. You're a paranormal investigator, but these people were ruthless. They were ruthless, and this was
yes.
years ago. And so it still continues, and everybody and their brother is. I just like to share with people, but I've learned over the years that you cannot share with everybody because people will use you, they will abuse you, they'll backstab you, they'll make believe they're your friends, they'll stab you in the back, and so as
Yes.
we get older, we learn to stick with certain people that are just core members that are really passionate about it, and the rest can go take a flying leap. I could care less. It's a
Well,
circus. It's a dog and
well,
pony show. That's what we call
right.
it, and it's true. And there are a lot of dogs and a lot of ponies out there, and social media hasn't helped. Um, all these different sites, they just it's an entertainment form if that's what you're looking for. But I don't know. I take the
Well,
paranormal very seriously,
yeah.
and so it's not an entertainment form to me. You know.
Well, what's your thought on people in the field still throwing around the whole para-unity,
Oh,
theory, and that we can all get along.
well,
What's your
Do you
thoughts on
remember?
that?
Do you remember years ago when somebody started a group in one state, and then they wanted to take over many, like 5 or 6 states, and so they would make their paranormal group, and they would affiliate with all these other states,
Yes.
and keep it under one umbrella. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work, and it never did. It actually went away. But yeah, I just think that you should find people that you really like working with, and that have their own experiences. They're not interested in ripping you off or stealing your stuff, that they can contribute their stuff to you and vice versa. And that's what I've been very lucky with. I work with about 4 or 5 different groups here in North Carolina that are friends for a long time. They all have their own groups. They run their groups their way, and that's great. And nobody's the boss. Everybody just communicates and works together. And we've captured a lot of great things over the years doing that.
Yeah.
Because it is nice to work with groups sometimes. Sometimes, like me personally, I'll do 90% of my stuff solo, or I'll have
Right.
one other person with me, and that's it. I don't need teams anymore. I used to have teams and 10 or 15 people, and it create. All I did is babysit the whole time I was on investigation, and then everything was put on me. Where should you go? What should you do? Why are you talking? Why are you being?
Yeah.
I got so
Yeah.
tired of it. I got so burnt out on it. And then also residential cases, same thing. There was a lot of stuff. Now that people see all these TV shows, they want a group to come in. They want to, we come in for free. We don't charge anything, and we
Right.
capture a lot of evidence for them. And then we submit it to them. And the next thing I knew, that people were taking my evidence and they were trying to sell it to shows,
It
and for
shows.
them to be
Yes.
on the show. Yeah, for them to be on the show with my evidence, which I busted my ass and
Right.
spent hours or days or weeks or whatever. So I stopped doing residential because I saw a lot of scams going on with that too. And I did help a lot of families, but I'm done with it now. I just have to focus on what I love, and I love doing my show and going to historical places and just doing. Now I paid my dues. I was, I'm sure like
Right.
you were too nice to too many people, and got so burned by people over the years, things that people wouldn't even believe. And so now we're, at this age, we're kind of doing our own thing, and that's how we should be.
Yeah. It's
You
kind
know,
of
I
like on the job training. You just kind of learn it as you go, and
yeah
you learn what you'll tolerate, what you won't.
yeah
I've never really, I get along. with people amazingly. I am definitely a people person, and
Yeah.
it's funny because people will hear about me online or hear something about me online, and when they meet me in
Right.
person, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so amazing! You're not such a bitch like I thought you were," like everybody tells me. And I'm like, no, that's probably true too, because I absolutely, in this day and age, you really get what you give, So it's like if I'm like you. I'm very choosy, very picky
Yeah.
on who I choose to investigate with. I
Yeah.
also, like you, don't do residentials unless it just
Yeah.
happens to be like a favor for somebody or somebody
Yeah.
needs my help. I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore because the clientele has changed
Oh
so
yeah.
dramatically. I
Yeah.
I can remember like maybe 15 years ago that the only thing that you worried about when you went to a client's house is if they were going to be like some serial killer, because like there was a couple guys that were like inviting teams over, and then like they'd have
Yeah.
guns with them and just like weird stuff. So it was like we had to
Yeah.
look on it. Now it's like you have people who say they need help.
Yeah.
They're actually, like you said, looking for footage. They're looking for somebody to come and do the work that they don't know how to do so
Right.
that they can make some money. And they now can be popular. Back in the day, nobody even wanted to talk about the fact that they had activity in their homes. And
Right.
I can remember having clients say, please make sure you don't wear like any shirts that have any, logos of your team or anything when you come to our house, because we don't want our neighbors like asking
Wow.
questions. Now it's like, oh yeah, they're having like, full,
Yeah.
once they have it on TV, they're doing like, premiere parties in their
Yeah.
neighborhood, and
Oh yeah.
everybody knows. It is just such a different time. So yeah, I
It is.
think that a lot of people, it's just kind of like, okay, you know what? The people who are really here and they're really here for the research, we've just kind of taken a back seat, I think, to like the mainstream paranormal stuff. And we're just doing us. We're doing what we know we need to do, what we
Right.
want to do, and
Right.
not really caring about the demise of the field. I just see every year it seems to get
Oh, it's getting
worse.
worse. Well,
It's just not getting better.
one of the last residential I did a few years ago, we went in and they asked us to come. We did. I always make them leave for a few hours. That's required. If you can't leave for 2 or 3 hours and let us do our thing, then I won't investigate your home. So they left, and we started investigating. And then I started noticing as I was walking around the different rooms, I found hidden cameras, and so they were actually filming us. And I found some audio running in the man was a musician, so he had a little reel for reel or a tape deck or something going, and he was recording audio at the same time as we were investigating. So I wasn't happy with that. And even the team I worked with back then, I used to train the public, and I would bring public members in, and they couldn't understand why I was so mad and annoyed that this customer did this. And they were kind of defending him, saying, "Oh, well, I think it's good." I'm like, "It's not good." I said, "You're how do you know that you're not going to take our footage and do whatever
Maybe
with it or
it's
sell
something
it
else.
or whatever?"
Right, right.
So it's
With
a
a
matter of
different
trust.
narrative.
Yeah. So that's why
Yeah.
I did away with it. For about 4 or 5 years, I was training the public, and I would give anybody an opportunity to join the groups. And I rented the Battleship, North Carolina, and I took them to all kinds of locations and taught them how to be really good investigators. And after that 4 years, I found out that none of them actually absorbed anything that I taught them. They all thought they were experts by that point. They knew everything. After 4 months, they knew everything about everything, and they were experts. I've been doing this for years, almost 40 years, and I'm not an expert. Am I experienced?
Right.
Yeah, but I don't claim to be an expert. And
Absolutely.
so that was the attitude. So I dumped all of them and I shut those groups down. I wasted all that time because really I was training these people for years and got even when they would investigate, they wouldn't get any evidence. Maybe a few little EVPs here and there, but then I found out that they weren't even reviewing properly the way I taught them to review. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, this one lady was with us for 4 years. She never got an EVP once in all the times, and we were getting tons of stuff. And I said, "Well, how are you reviewing it?" "Well, I'm at work," and she works in the medical field. "Well, I'm at work and I listen to it while I'm at my desk." I'm like, "You can't do
No,
that." I said, "You have to
no.
sit
You have to be
quietly.
able to focus.
You got to be at your home in a quiet setting. I mean, and I trained them to do that. But so that's what, and it's like, so why are you even wasting your time after 4 years? Because it's thrill seeking. That's what it was. It was exciting to go places and be a part of a team and say you were part of a team. But that's not the point of doing it. It's really not.
Well, you know
So I
what
just
really
scrapped all
what
that.
you know what really irritates me is when I'm watching teams and they're putting out, EVPs that they've captured, and then they'll put, down, they'll put the caption in the bottom of, what they want
What
us
it
to hear.
says.
And I'm listening, and I'm like, what the hell is that? That doesn't sound anything like that. Now, mind you, I will tell you, over the years, like EVPs are like crazy all the time. We always get them. And
Yeah.
I could say maybe in say one investigation, we might get 30, 40 different
Yeah.
sound bits, right? Of
Right.
clips of things that they're saying. And we will listen over and over. And then as a group, we would listen. And if we couldn't all together
No.
say that we were hearing the same thing, I
You just
could
throw it
never
out.
put that information out.
Yeah.
That it got thrown out. I didn't care if I ended up with absolutely no
Yeah.
audio evidence.
Oh yeah.
Better
I mean,
that than to
but
just put crap
you
out
do get
there
some
and say,
amazing
oh,
ones, and so why not focus? Why not put out amazing ones? If you're
right.
gonna put something out, that people can't hear, then it's like, what's the point? People are gonna trash it anyway. So, and like even Facebook and stuff, that is not a place to. I see all these people posting all these things and pictures and EVPs. I'm like, Facebook is not the place to put out paranormal evidence. You
It
should
is
find
if you
other.
want to be attacked
Yeah, if you want to be
by
attacked
everybody else in the
or
field
you're
that are
faking, I see so
experts.
many people faking things, and
All
we can
right.
tell right away when somebody's faking something. We've been doing this a long time, so
It
they're just
wouldn't even
trying to get some kind of notoriety or something, or even I love when people go and they'll go to the different conferences and they'll take pictures with everybody, and so they think that's building their credibility because they hung out with Barry Fitzgerald or this and that. And I have worked with those people in the past, and they're great, but I've actually investigated with them, and
I have too, but I mean, are
yeah,
they any better than you and I? Like,
yeah,
no, they're regular people. Like
yeah,
that's what it cracks me up because like
yeah,
I don't really even do events anymore. And it used to
yeah,
really bother me, like when they would put out, they'd say, "Oh, our list of paracelebs," and I'm like,
yeah,
"Why am I on that list? I'm not a
yeah,
celebrity. Like, what are you talking about? You know?" And it's
yeah,
just, again, I don't have a big ego. I also won't fake anything, just to bring attention to something.
yeah,
And I, I'm one of those people that, I'm known for exposing BS. So
yeah, yeah,
when I go to conferences, it was funny what you said because when I first started going to conferences, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, you've made it to the big time if you get asked to speak at conferences."
big deal.
And I realized that it was a whole lot of ass kissing. It was a whole lot of people being drunk, a whole lot of people
Oh yeah,
cheating on their spouses.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah. I
God, I've
saw a
never
lot of stuff.
seen more cheating.
Yeah,
I've seen a whole lot. And,
yeah.
it was actually, if I would have exposed all the stuff I had actually seen go
Oh
on
yeah.
at these
Believe me,
conferences,
there's some big names out there that I've witnessed being really raunchy people, and they're big names,
yes,
supposedly in the paranormal. Not that so yeah,
yeah.
they're producers of shows and things like that, big shows,
But
and
again,
authors.
they're
Yeah,
people just like you and I.
yeah,
So again, it's like who
yeah,
would want to put themselves on a pedestal where you are under a microscope? Because if
yeah,
I go to, some event and I go and I'm having some affair or something there, nobody's probably even going to pay attention. But if you have a big name or a network behind you and you're out there, oh yeah, you're going to be on every blog, every social media site.
yeah,
They're going to be posting you all over the place.
yeah.
It's like, is that really? I don't think people really get it. I don't think that it's like
Well,
they say, be careful what you wish for, but I don't think people really get it. Like it's not
I think
all
it's
that
so
it.
funny with the paranormal field because really in the real world, nobody knows the paranormal field. They don't know any of these people.
No,
They're nobodies. They are not celebrities, and they're nobodies. So it's only in the paranormal field that these fans make these people, um, you know, more popular. I mean, I've met so many really great people that have had shows, but
Yeah.
as a person, they were really good people, and they would, if you met them at a different event, they would tell you, look, somebody won't say his name, but he's like, man, I wake up in the morning, my breath stinks just as bad as yours,
Right.
um, so why are you trying to make celebrities out of these people?
Right. Right.
I
And
only
causes
really look I look at people that have really amazing evidence and share really great things and
right.
then share great stories. That's what I'm interested. I don't care personality wise. Unless you're passionate like me and you really love sharing your experiences, and I know that you're genuine, you have really good evidence. Uh, Everybody else can just go keep doing their little circuses or whatever, and that's fine. It's all ego, and 90% of the field is ego fed anyway. So you know, just
Well,
how it is.
talking about sharing evidence, that's another thing that I see that's really going downhill as well because,
Oh, yeah.
I can remember, I've been in the field publicly investigating over 20 years now. And I can remember at the beginning where, we were all really kind of new, to all this. So there was no handbook, nobody teaching classes, nobody guiding anybody. There weren't very many groups around. So if you could find one, you wanted it to work with them, and
Yeah,
so when people would investigate, since everybody wasn't close by, they would put it on social media, like on Facebook, and then
sure.
people would say, okay, that's a good catch, or oh, that looks
Yeah,
like, that's just, a bug, or that's just some
mhm,
condensation on the lens. And so
right.
you would get that, people trying to help each other critique
Sure,
their
debunk it.
evidence and question, that they had
Yeah.
question with. Not anymore. You can put
Oh,
up
absolutely, man.
anything whatsoever. I
Yeah.
have seen some really, really amazing evidence be posted, and
Oh, yeah.
I have seen this field completely pick it and tear it apart, as well as the person who posted it, to the point that people don't even want to share anything anymore because it's like,
Right.
wow, this is what we get if
Well,
we try to
and
ask.
majority of those people that are making these rude comments are not even investigators. They haven't spent years going to these locations and doing the work. And then just the social media is so mean and so rude and crude. And
Yeah,
so, even, it's just how it is. I call them armchair, uh, experts. They all have their opinions and this and that, but have half of them even gone out and investigated and captured evidence? No, probably 90% of them haven't. But they know everything. Um, so it
absolutely.
is what it is. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
that's why I don't even like. I like being on Prime. It's great because it's not. I won't put my stuff on YouTube. I won't put it on Facebook because I don't need all this drama and all this negativity bashing stuff. If you don't like it or if you don't believe it, great. You weren't there, and you also have to put out good evidence. You can't put out
Right.
boards and things and think that people are going to be amazed by that. You have to really shoot for great audio and apparitions and really good captures to share with people. But then you're still going to get some jerk bashing you and this and that, say, no matter what you have. So that's why Facebook is not the place. It's great to do shows like this, and it's a great way to share things. But it's putting evidence, go out, make your own series, put out a show, do something like that, and share it that way. And if people want to watch it, great. And if they don't, they won't. And if they want to bash it, they'll bash it anyway. So it is what it is. But it just comes
Especially
with the field.
right, especially right now because it's pretty easy, to create your own channel,
Oh my
or
God. Yeah.
get your stuff, your stuff on Prime,
Yeah.
or different things. I mean,
Yeah.
again, if you just do a simple, some simple Google searches, it'll, direct you step by step on how to do it. So yeah, there's plenty out there, and again, if you have that audience, and there is a big audience that is really out there looking for authentic evidence. And
Yeah.
again,
It's a
what I
very
like
small
about what
percentage.
you're doing,
Yeah.
right,
Unfortunately,
is that
very small. The audience out there is very small percentage of people looking for real stuff. They're
yeah,
so into oh, this investigator's cute, or oh, she's cute, oh, she wears. That's all they care about. It's just celebrity crap, and it's how about the
yeah,
evidence? They didn't say that about the early researchers from the 1900s and on. Where people write, hey, so and so's got a nice curly mustache, or something. You know,
right, It's all about appearance
People
and
take
stuff.
it seriously, and then you have the look. You have the other side of the realm where the science field. It's so funny. I've come across this over the years with so many people in the science field that don't capture anything, don't get any evidence, and then so because they never get any evidence, they bash everything. Say there's no such thing as paranormal. Ghosts
Yeah,
don't
100%.
exist. Show me proof. And then you show them proof, and they're like, oh well, and they'll give you all the hypothesis of why it's not this and it's not that. But it's
Yeah.
I find with a lot of science people, it's their they don't have the passion. They don't go out and investigate. They just want to rip things apart and and put it down the best way they can. And I have seen that a lot with many different scientific backgrounds. So it
Well,
is what it is.
I've also found, so I used to be a Dawson and I was the residential radio show host for Preston Castle out here on the West Coast. And it's in Ione, California. It was a boys' reformatory school, very
Right.
haunted. But there have been tons of television shows that have come out to investigate there. And actually, somebody who's very, very well known in the field, I've been friends with him for probably about 18 years myself. He went up there with a bunch of scientists to film for a show, and that's exactly what happened. They got nothing.
No.
And, here's all these, amazing
Egghead.
experiences and stories there, and evidence that's out there, but they came in because they didn't get anything. They were like, it's not haunted.
Yeah.
And funny enough, we convinced one of them to come back because we said, I noticed, and I'm a psychic medium. I
Yeah.
noticed when I first got there, I could see a lot of the kids, but they would hide from me. They would not interact with me. They
Sure.
would, I had nothing. We could get nothing when we first went there. But
Right.
when we went back and they saw that we actually cared and we were going there to, help them, I would go in there any day, night. It makes no difference and get tons of
Yeah.
evidence. And we brought him back. And
Yeah.
the second time he came, it was like the plethora of, evidence that he could get. And he was so shocked. And he's like, boy,
Yeah.
I have to, stick my foot in my mouth for this one because I said there
Yeah.
was nothing here. So it is very different. Every location is very different. And, that's why I say it just drives me crazy because you get all
Oh
these
yeah.
little YouTubers and stuff that are out there, and then they edit it, and it makes it seem like every weekend they go out and they just get
Yeah.
all this evidence. And
Yeah.
for people who really investigate, we know there's probably more times than not that we sit all night and don't really get crap that we'd want to
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
It's just it's the luck of the draw. They're
Yeah.
not show ponies. Like they
Yeah. They
don't
don't
just
work on
come to
command.
you. They walk
But
in like we need evidence.
oh yeah, but there are people like me. I mean, I do very well when I go to locations, but I've learned I don't go with 4 or 5 people anymore. I won't do that. There's too much
Yes.
distraction, too much going on.
Yes.
People are goofing around. Um, so I'll just really, if I have to go in by myself, I do, and I've done it for many years. I mean, that's how I created what I do, and I used a lot of different methods that people don't use. Uh, it's not gimmicky stuff. It's but stuff that really gets great evidence. And so, or I'll go in with one other person that's a seasoned, really good investigator. Somebody maybe that's clear audio or
Yeah.
sensitive psychic. Somebody that really is good and does not like a lot of the psychic mediums that I work with. Um, they'll never tell you that that's what they do, and they don't charge money for it, and
That's
they don't
right.
talk about it, and they have full-time professional jobs. And so when I
Right.
bring them into a location, it's after I've already captured a lot of things, and then I want to see if they pick up on what I've captured. And that's I do it kind of reverse, but that way I'm
Right.
helping to either debunk or prove that what they're picking up is actually genuine. And I know right offhand when they tell me, oh, there's a woman over there, and they describe her, and meanwhile that was my client in the past who passed away, and I know them really well, and they describe them to the T, and they say who they are, this and that. So I like to do it that way.
Yeah.
And I don't really know of anybody else that does that. Everybody else brings a psychic in, lets them walk around. No, I don't do that. I investigate first. I want to be the one in there and see what I capture first, and then go from
Yeah.
there. And
Well,
it's more
I'll,
rewarding. Definitely more
right.
rewarding.
I'll say with myself, it's like we do it a little bit, differently. But myself and my co-founder of our group are both psychics, so
Right.
we have, a person who sets everything up. we never have any communication with the client ahead of time.
Right.
So we don't know any of the background. We're not discussed anything that's going on. That's
Sure.
just the case coordinator is the only one that has that information in the
Sure.
team. So when we get there, myself and my co-founder will walk through the property. We have a piece of paper and a pen. We'll jot
Excellent.
down everything that we're picking up on. Now, we always request that we don't want to know anything about the location, the address,
Right.
nothing before we go. Again, that's my team's job is
Yeah.
to coordinate everything and just tell us where to be.
Right.
Then we go in, we write everything that we get down that we're picking
Yeah.
up. Then we go back in, we grab the team, and then as a team, we all go in and investigate. Then
Yeah.
afterwards, we'll take what we got as a team, we'll take what we got in general, and then our case coordinator will also take the information that was
Right.
given to them by the client themselves. And then our historian is the one that does all the research to find
Yeah.
out if there's anything else that can be connected. And then
Right.
that, along with everything else, is what makes the big picture of what you use, what you don't use. And it can be very, very helpful having
Yeah.
somebody who is a psychic medium on a team. The problem I find is that there's a lot of people that are BSing that too. And, it's
Yeah.
like if I always tell people, if you're going to use a psychic on your team, first thing, if they want to know anything about the case, don't use them.
Right.
If they want an address before you take them there, don't
Yeah.
use them.
Yeah.
They should not want or need any of that information, because any of that
Right.
information will automatically put up red flags if that information can be easily Googled.
Right.
So,
Well, and then you have the other case of sensitive psychics that just make up total bullshit and
yes,
really believe what they're telling in their head, but there's no way of proving it. So you don't have. That's why the way I do it is I already have evidence. I have voices. I have names. I have information from researching already. And for me, I like it because that way they can't bullshit me. I'm not. I don't want to waste 5 minutes anymore. I've wasted so many years of time
I agree.
with bullshit
Right.
artist people. And I used to bring in different sides that claimed that they were psychics, and they would ramble. They would take over the whole investigation. They wouldn't be quiet the whole time. They would talk the whole time. I remember I was asking a question one time, and finally got this woman to calm down. And she said, "Oh, there's a girl here." I said, "Well, little girl, how old are you?" And then the psychic, "Oh, well, she's 14 years old, and her name is so and so." I'm going, "Can you let the ghost speak?" I said, "I'm here to talk to the ghost." And I got so mad that I actually had to go outside for it and take a break for it. And I was like, "This is it. I'm done." I said, "I can't deal with this." Because they wasted so much. And we traveled about an hour and a half to get there. And then she just showboated the whole time. So I was like, can't deal with this anymore. I just have to go back to what I love. And that's why I love investigating by myself. I don't need anybody to tell me what's going on. I'll find out myself from the ghost. And that's
Right.
how I do it. So
Right. No,
I'm not into. I don't like middle people telling me a story. I want my own evidence. I want my own research, and I just become that way over the years. I had to because it was either that or leave the field altogether. And so I said, I'm not
yeah,
leaving the
yeah,
field. I love it, but I'm getting away from the lunatics that are just showboaters.
yeah. And it seems to grow every year. So,
Oh
and
God.
I do. I mean, I see I feel like it's just like a full circle. We're like it's like like a new season of the paranormal, because it's like you see the new people come in and then you start to see all of the drama in between all of them and everybody
Yeah.
wanting to take sides and it's just a bunch of chaos.
Well, and then
And
you get the
then
younger and younger kids too. And if you're in your 50s and above, and you're seeing these little 15, 18-year-olds now becoming big stars, and they're not even interested in learning. They really aren't. There's so much to learn. There's so much history to learn. There's so much techniques to learn. Mentor with other people that are older, that have a lot of experience, so that you can be taught properly. But no, they're not interested in that. Everything is instant. They want, and that's because social media has made everything instant. And so it's very sad to see that. And I'm not saying that for everybody because there are a lot of younger people that are really doing great things. And so it's
no,
good
yeah.
to hook up with those people and work with the younger ones. But you got to find them. It's very hard to find. Um,
Well,
I,
we also don't see. a lot like we used to back then too, because back before you could reach out to another team if you were brand new and you just kind of wanted to like shadow a team and
Yeah,
learn,
I
so
don't
that
do that
you at
anymore.
least had somebody showing you something
Right.
on how to do things. And I mean, sometimes they didn't have great people showing them stuff, but at least the people were out there willing to help,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
or
definitely.
you find people that would mentor people.
Right. And now
Now,
everybody just watches
people,
a TV show and watches YouTube and
that's right.
finds out how to get whatever gear they want. And I just laugh at this equipment that's out there, and they're spending thousands of dollars. I love military background because I like using a lot of stuff that the military uses, and that's where the thermal comes in and different guided countermeters and things like that that the military was using for years. Um, so I
Well,
like heavy
what do
duty
you think
equipment.
about that stupid little thing? What is it that they put on the Sony PlayStation, the little stick thing, and they're
Oh,
always
I hate that. I
dancing?
think it's silly. I think it's silly, and there's so many false positives with it that could create anything. I love thermal video because when you capture an image that is, look, if you're standing there, you're going to be orange. I don't care
Right,
what your
right,
energy is, you're going to be orange, you're going to be red.
right,
If you have something next to you that's a ghost, it's going to be in the blue zone. And you can't fake that. And
right.
I've seen some amazing things with thermal. And it's so funny how so many of these groups don't use thermal. And now it's come down.
Yeah,
It's so inexpensive. And people say, oh, these little $200 ones don't work. Really? We've captured some amazing things with them. So,
yeah.
it's
But
just,
instead of using some basic equipment,
yeah,
which we used back in the day that we got great results from,
right,
now they're, spending thousands of dollars on
right,
light up cat balls and, motion activated
yeah,
whatever. I mean, every time I see things and I see how, now again, people get down on me when I work with them because they're like, you're supposed to be a psychic and you're debunking everything. Oh, yeah.
well,
I debunk
you
a
have
whole
to
lot.
be.
I debunk a whole lot. I don't care if I'm a psychic or not.
Yeah,
I debunk a whole lot. If
yeah,
there is an alternate reason for anything happening,
yeah,
that's what it is. Like,
yeah.
I'd much rather say this is the answer than to make up some BS and be like, oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah, when you
look at
can't,
that.
and I'm like you. I mean, when I do get like, say, I work with several other people on a location, and I find that I get a really amazing photo, I will send it to all of them. I'll say, and I won't tell them what it is. I'll say, what do you
Right.
see? And I'll share it with
Yes.
10 people. And these are people
I
I
love that.
know and I trust that I've worked with a long time. And a lot of them will like, well, I see this, and some will see something totally different. So it's a good way to share and to see what other people see. Our brains see things differently than other people. So but yeah, it's I don't know. I don't follow any of these shows. I don't watch any of these shows that are out there. I can't. I just can't stomach them, and they're all
Yeah.
overly produced. I mean, for years I had all these shows contacting me, and they weren't even interested in me. All they wanted was my client list, and they'd say, oh, can you give us your clients' phone numbers? And I'm like, are you crazy? And I had people calling me from England and other countries and all these production companies, and they just have these people that they would cold call you, and
Yeah.
hopefully they got some info because they were making money. If they got some info, they would
Oh,
get
yeah.
paid. So it was
Or a
commission.
location.
Yeah, commission work.
Sure.
So I told him, I said, look, I'm not interested. And I had every show you can think of back then. And I don't even know how they got my number, but I just was amazed that all they were interested in was getting to the family, and so they could corrupt the family and then go in and film. And they would always ask, "Are there any demons at these locations?" And I would go off on them, and I'd say, "Look, man," I said, "you and your demons go shove it up your ass." I said, "You're creating this problem where all these shows are about demons and this and that." I said, all my years I've never come across anything negative like that. And I've been around the world. I've been to other countries and I've investigated, and I've never had anything negative happen to me. So I'm not saying that there aren't negative things out there, but
Right,
what you
right.
what you put out there is what you get back. So if
Yeah,
you're looking
I
for
agree.
negative, you're gonna get negative. I don't put
Right.
out negative. I'm not interested in working with anything negative. There's other people that like to do that. That's fine. But Hollywood has really ruined the paranormal field with all these silly movies. And I love horror. Don't get me wrong. I love horror movies. I love the old ones, and even the
But
new ones that come out.
horror,
I go and I
okay.
see them. I just go and see them so I can see how terrible they are. Um, but I just love horror stuff. I mean, that's
But that's a difference though. Like
yeah.
I love
Oh,
horror, I always have. Like horror and the paranormal is two completely different genres.
yeah,
Like just because they make horror movies
yeah,
based off of parts of real stories,
yeah.
and then it's all they
We don't
have
even know if
fresh
they're real
blood.
stories. I was just at the Amityville Horror House about 2 or 3 weeks ago, visiting friends, and he lived 10 minutes from there. I said, we've lived here on Long Island our whole lives, and we never went there. They said, let's take a ride over there. And we did, and we took some pictures. Um, it's an amazing story, but you talk about a fake story that was created out of a
Mm,
mystery of a murdered family, and then
yes.
they made up that whole story. I mean, the Amityville Horror is made up, and if you believe in what they're saying, you're a fool, and you're giving your money to these people. But the Lutzes even came out and said that they faked it, and they made up the whole story. They made a total of $300,000. That was it for selling the story and the rights for the book and everything. So, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
And
are,
there's
are there
there's
people, are there spirits there that can possibly be from the family? Yeah,
oh,
possibly, but
absolutely.
it could be anybody. I mean, there's ghosts everywhere, so it doesn't have to be the family. I've been to murder
Absolutely.
locations, and I got spirits that weren't part of the murder. So, and then I've done a lot of suicide cases where I've actually connected with the people that kill themselves, and so the spirits are everywhere. And that house sits right on a canal, and it's water based, so and
Right.
it's very historical. So
Right.
you can have ghosts from the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s.
Right.
You can't say. But I know my good friend that lives in that area. He worked with a girl that her uncle owned the house, and he said there is nothing in this house. I've lived here several years now, and nothing. And there's nothing here, nothing weird, nothing has happened. And that man owned the house, so you know
Yeah.
it's just amazing how look while I was there visiting, there were 4 or 5 cars that went by and they were stopping and taking pictures. And I was like,
Oh,
just amazing
absolutely.
how that story is still going all these years.
Any story, any
Yeah,
story that you throw in some demons or,
yeah,
a murder or anything like that,
yeah,
and that's why when people say, oh, yeah, I saw that movie based on the paranormal. I
yeah,
said based, right?
yeah,
Okay. So remember, it is still a movie. So it's
yeah.
going to have it. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. It's like damn parade outside with the bass
I,
music
I
outside
hear
right now.
drums.
Eh, No,
Must
that's
be
the
somebody with
bass
their
from
car,
somebody's
their
car.
boombox.
It's the bass from somebody's radio as they're
Oh,
driving past my window, and I'm just like,
yeah,
wow.
that makes me nuts. I hate that.
And I live in the historic district, so it's like
That's rare. Yeah,
it's always popping down here. So there's always something going, especially on Sunday. So it's
yeah,
like go figure. All
yeah.
right, it looks like we have about 2 minutes left of the show. I
Oh
swear,
wow, my
I
bad.
used to do 2 hours, on
Yeah,
both shows every week, and
that's a lot.
we got so much that was covered,
Yeah.
but it was a lot, 4 hours every week on top of working, and then
Oh yeah.
nobody understands like all the stuff you have to do ahead of
Oh,
time
I
and
know.
the promos and the promoting of it, everything. So I did 1 hour, and I'll tell you, every time I bring somebody interesting on, it's like I never get enough time. I'm like, oh, it's already over. Crap. you know so I was
Well,
like,
I
okay, we have
appreciate
to
you
bring
having
it
me
back.
on, and always great to talk with you, and great conversations.
Oh,
Yeah, I
thank
hate
you.
to say that we're out here bitching about the things, but we've seen a lot, and we really are passionate about our field, and we don't like people shitting on it and trashing it, and that's what's happening to it. But is it something that's going to change? No, it's not going to change. So we just got to
Yeah.
keep doing what we love, and uh, and that's the most important thing. And people, I always say, if you're doing the right thing, the right people will find you. So that's what it's all about.
I agree. You find your people for sure. Well, it's
Right.
great to have you on. I'd
Thank
love
you
to,
again.
after the beginning of the year, maybe we'll have you come back on. I'd love to
Yeah,
talk about
sure.
some of the locations around
Yeah, sure.
Carolinas that you've been to.
Oh yeah, I could talk more about my show. My next episode will
Ah,
be out by then,
oh,
and
perfect.
we can. And that's a yeah, it's a real North Carolina murder mystery from the 1800s. So it's
Nice,
very interesting. Yeah, we'll
nice.
share it then.
Yeah, I just actually joined a panel where I was asked to join this panel that they each month they pick like unsolved murder or a missing person case from around the
Oh,
world, and then there's like a panel of us that all have like abilities and things like that and try to
right.
pull together and see what's going on. So I'm going to see how that works.
Yeah, that's
I've tried to
interesting.
get away from everything, but you want to help. You want to help where
Yeah.
you can, so we'll see how it goes, and then
Yeah, give it
I'll
a
get back
try.
on.
I like that. That's how I met you, was through the round table that we had with Chris.
Yes, yes,
Yes, and so that was a lot of fun. But it is
yes,
hard to do the round tables because if you have 5 or 6 people, it's
yeah,
a lot going on.
yeah.
I like the one-on-one like this. It's great.
I do too. I do too. Well, I look forward to having you come back. Why don't you
Thanks
give
again for having me
out
on.
the information of where people can find your show in the meantime so they can check
Yeah,
it out before we come
yeah,
back in and have a part two?
sure. Sounds great. And you can find me at Amazon Prime Video TV. And it's Journey Through the Past, Heritage Hunters, and you can find it and watch it and check it out.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. I know that there's a ton of people that on Sundays they're not able to catch the live show, but they catch it afterwards. If you like the show, please, make sure to share it, like it, share it around on your page and with your friends on social media. We love to get the information out. And again, if you have questions for my guest for part two, make sure to send them to me, and I'll make sure to ask them for the very next show. I did see that we did have some questions on social media, so I will archive those and I will keep those for the next show. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for all your love and support, and especially everybody that has been supporting me through these health issues this year. So I appreciate it, and hopefully I'm doing better for next year. That's the plan. Put it out there into the universe. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. That being said, guys,
Thanks,
love you.
everybody.
I will see you next week. Good
Have a
night,
good
everybody.
night.
Have a
Bye,
great week.
everybody. Happy holidays.